Good morning, everybody. Appreciate you all coming out. It's a busy day in the sports world, and but we have a very special announcement, some thrilling news we want to share with you. Just to go over the ground rules or just the lay of the land, we'll have three people come to the podium to speak to you. Joe Carlgard will begin. He'll be followed by Luis Gottberg, who will be leading the trip and instructing the class the players will be participating in, and then Coach Wayne Graham. And after we get done with the three of them up here delivering some opening remarks, we're going to break it up into some interviews. We've got four current Rice House players here: Charlie Warren, Dame Wunderlich, Glenn Otto, and Evan Kravitz. Particularly of interest, Glenn has just returned from a stint with Team USA where he pitched in Cuba, and Evan is from the Miami area, so they'll be available for your comments as well. So with that, I'm going to introduce our Athletic Director, Joe Carlgard, to get things started.
Thanks, Chuck. It is an exciting day, not just for our baseball program, but for our entire athletic department, as we formally announce what's probably the worst kept secret in all of college baseball, that we will in fact be taking our baseball program to Cuba later on this year. For those of you who kind of pay attention to what's going on in college athletics these days, there's a lot of talk about time demands and about balance and about ensuring that student athletes, particularly Division I student athletes, maintain the appropriate relationship with the institution and our students first. And so the NCAA is kind of wrestling with ways that they can sort of reconstruct seasons and practice time and playing time to allow students opportunities to do these types of things. And I just am thrilled that here at Rice, we're at the forefront of this. We are making time for our student athletes to experience something that's really once in a lifetime in going to Cuba, and now that we've normalized relationships with the nation, experience that culture, and particularly that baseball culture, for the first time in their lives. We've had many people get together to make this happen, many administrators, coaches, faculty, and I'm grateful for all that they've done to work out the logistics of making this trip a reality. This seems very appropriate that Coach Wayne Graham is at the center of this. Coach Graham has been at the center of just about everything that's been groundbreaking with Rice baseball, including our multiple trips to the postseason, our conference championships, and our national championship in 2003. Coach Graham's led the program for more than 2 decades, and it seems appropriate that he would lead the program in its first trip to Cuba. President David Lebron could not be here today, but I'd like to express gratitude to him and the role that he played in making this possible. And he's just been a great supporter of our program and our athletic department, and we're very, very lucky to have him as our leader. I'm going to bring up one of two people who are really serving as kind of the lead. I talked a little bit about Coach Graham, but next you'll hear from Professor Luis Gottberg, who is an associate professor of Caribbean and Film Studies here at Rice, and he's also the chair of Spanish, Portuguese, and Latin American Studies, and he'll talk to you a little bit about the educational component that'll go along with this trip. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is very exciting for me to be part of this initiative. I've been traveling to Cuba for about 19, 20 years, and taking students for the Rice students for the last 7 years. But this is completely different than anything I've done before, because here I'm going to be integrating with Greg Tienelman, another colleague of mine, all our experience teaching about politics and culture with athletics. And that's very unique. I think it's unique for us as faculty, for the university, and for other people in other universities. Our students will be reading about history, politics, economics. They will be learning about literature, but also they will be learning about baseball, and specifically Cuban baseball, and trying to see and learn about the relationships of the sport they play with culture, with politics. So this is going to be a very rich experience. They will also be engaging players, not only playing games, but interacting with them. If I can talk for a minute about one of the tools we're going to use for evaluating. We're going to have, for example, a diary. They have to keep a diary of their experiences as they travel. And I think this is going to be wonderful for them. It's going to allow them to reflect about their experience traveling. They would allow them to think about how other players play, how other players behave. So I'm very excited. I've never done something like this, even though I've been traveling for 20 years to the island and teaching classes about that. I think it's a fantastic way of expanding the educational opportunities of athletes, and I look forward to the opportunity. Thank you.
This is a wonderful thing. I'm so happy that Luis and Greg Tillman, who was is our SIG Fund leader, were the driving forces behind this. But David Liebran and Joe Colgard both were very receptive and saw the value of this, and the timing is remarkable that the embargo's gone and Cuba is opening up. And the last time I was in Cuba was 1960. I realize I shouldn't admit that, but that's the truth. I was playing with the Buffalo Bisons against the Havana Sugar Kings at the time. And shortly thereafter, of course, professional baseball, American professional baseball left Cuba, and the Havana team moved to Jersey City during that season. But I really love the fact that we're going to a place that is a great cultural experience for our guys, and it's a baseball experience too. It's a possibility for growth, because the Cuban people, I think they grew to love baseball even more after the embargo and after, you know, there was no U.S. baseball there. There used to be, you know, Cuban Winter League, all that, years and years ago. That was one of the places where African Americans got to play. And it was, you know, so they were kind of a pathfinder in every way. But I love the thought of the love of the game that they have. We were just discussing, Luis and I, about how the Cuban players tend to be a little more intuitive than the American players. We tend to overanalyze. Well, they analyze, but it's internal, and it's based on years of love for the game and experience with the game that have made them into great players. I think we're about to have a new Cuban player with the Astros. I hope he hits, because they need it right now. But no, this is something that I'm excited about. I think a lot of our folks, my daughter wants to go, everybody wants to go. They can't always fit it into their schedule, but just the cultural experience and the baseball experience, you just can't estimate how great that will be for our guys. You know, anything that helps our guys to grow in terms of baseball and in terms of their overall growth, whether it be going to Cape Cod, Santa Barbara, but certainly to Cuba, this is really a wonderful thing. And I appreciate the support, administration, Luis's role, Greg Tillman's role. Rick Mello has been an expediter of this whole thing. I'm very appreciative of everything that's been done to get this going. You know, it's hard to, for a while you're thinking, yeah, this sounds great. Is it really going to happen? And, well, looks like it's really going to happen, and that's a great thing. And I thank everybody involved in this.
Your name, sir, please, your name and title?
I'm the baseball coach. Juan Negraja. That's the way they pronounced it in Cuba. Juan Negraja.
Can you spell it for me, please?
Waynegraham.
Thank you.
I never forget that. They would announce me, you know, batting here, Juan Negraja.
Thank you, Coach.